South Sudan has seen a plethora of business stories developing, one of the main ones being the rollout of the newly launched mobile money platform, mGurush. To discuss this and other market news coming out of Juba, I have business analyst Akol Dok on the line. Thanks so much for joining us on the show. We've been seeing the headlines. It was just launched not too long ago. Tell me, before we even get into the new mobile money platform, what were citizens using to or rather to operate, since a lot of South Sudanese are not banked?
Yeah, the majority of South Sudanese were using cash as a mechanism, especially for large-scale transactions, which was very dangerous and makes people vulnerable, especially to theft. What the mobile money is going to do is it's going to bank majority of South Sudanese across the country. As you see, mGurush now is launched, and it's in all 32 states. What this is going to do is allow people to keep their money in the mobile with their phone numbers. And now it's going to reduce sort of the influx of cash, and it's going to stabilize the South Sudan pound.
Right. Do you see this as also sort of alleviating or even facilitating some more regional trade or cross-border or e-commerce trade? Because, you know, the rest of the region has already begun with mobile money. Do you see that as sort of connecting us a bit more?
And yeah, that's where it's headed. Step one right now is to integrate South Sudan, integrate people across the 3 regions. And what this is going to do is now traders can purchase goods through mobile money instead of having to bring the cash. So if somebody is in the northern part of South Sudan, like the agriculture area of Run, they can purchase goods from Juba to the mobile money and have the goods transferred to them instead of having the cash transferred through the different money transfers. In the long term, what this is going to do is going to allow people in South Sudan to trade with neighbors in Uganda and neighbors in Kenya through this platform, which is the steps coming for it.
Right. You know, if you allow me to switch gears a bit to some other business news coming out of South Sudan, you know, one of the first things that a lot of people think about is oil. Tell us about, you know, what are the trends? What are the opportunities looking like? We've seen that there's a lot of FDI coming in as well. Speak to us about that.
Well, the oil industry is run by the Ministry of Petroleum, and South Sudan has recently appointed a new Ministry of Petroleum, engineer Daniel Wochuang, who has a wealth of experience. He was a former Director General, the technical arm of the Petroleum Authority, and also Director of Refineries. Now he's introduced methods to promote transparency and also promote methods to bring investment. One of them is open tenders for various contracts and also for oil blocks and crude oil sales. And the president has also said that they want to stop the pre-sale of oil and open up the tenders to various companies.
Right. You know, one of the headlines that we've been seeing is how much FDI has gone up and how much it's expected to go up. We've seen 1 billion as one of the anticipated numbers, coming from 250 million 2 years ago. What do you think is the reason why?
Well, the first thing is that the peace agreement signed in September of 2018 between the South Sudan government and the various opposition factions, and also you see a surge in a reduction of violence, and also opportunities. What you have now in South Sudan is you have a lot of people seeing the opportunities, and you see a difference in an economic revolution taking place. Many international companies, regional companies, and even the government themselves have taken initiatives to find ways to tap into the resource of the nation to better help the people.
Right. We've seen reports of significant amounts of money being invested by South Sudan, MTN. Can you tell us about some of the most exciting investments that you're looking forward to?
The most exciting investments I'm looking forward to is, I would say, the non-oil sector. The oil sector dominates the South Sudan economy. And to diversify and have a strengthened economy, we need investment in non-oil. And there's been plans for investment in agriculture, telecommunications, as you see with mGurush and MTN. And what's happening now is there's fiber optics going to be coming to South Sudan, and there's going to be a surge of investment in the technological sector. What South Sudan needs is to use the oil industry to diversify the economy. With regards to the oil industry, investment is coming in with new technologies. And at the Ministry of Petroleum, they've introduced methods to attract investors to help with oil field technology to once increase production, increase efficiency, which is going to be very positive for the country.
Right. Do you foresee the mobile industry as being the burgeoning sector to get into?
Of course. The future of South Sudan is in the technology sector, using technologies to increase the economic development, also help people. The mobile money And the technology sector is what revolutionized the 21st century. If you look at majority of the companies, they're all tech companies. Silicon Valley was made by tech companies. So it's an area, and many South Sudanese can leapfrog this because as we got our independence in 2011, we can overcome some of the obstacles other African nations faced. They got their independence in the 60s and 70s, and the technological revolution is going to change the country. Now what you can have is, when you have a strong economic development, the government benefits too, because when the government has a strong economy to tax, they gain revenue, and this revenue they can use to deliver services. So I believe that the future is technology, and using technology to change the lives of people.
Right. Akol, before I let you go, tell me, is South Sudan prepared for this? What I mean is the infrastructure there? Is the awareness there? Are you ready for this transformation?
South Sudan is ready. It's ready, and part of it is sanitization. What it can do is many local firms who aren't prepared can partner with international firms to develop their capacity. But what should happen is companies and individuals who are experienced and have expertise should come and transfer knowledge. So even if we're not ready, there can be a transfer of knowledge to prepare people to take these jobs in the future.
Right. Akol, thanks so much for joining us on the show today. We have run out of time, but we'll definitely be following up with these stories.
All right. Thank you for having me.